This is Trendsetter of the Mind, and this is Argos. Today we're going to be going over The Giver and also the film Wonder Woman 1984. And the reason we're doing this is because the first part got erased a couple videos back, because you know how crazy censorship is getting these days, and I'll talk about more in this video why it got censored. But basically, The Giver is a cross between the books 1984 and Brave New World, because you have everything from assignments given from birth to lies that you're told are for safety. You also have a lot of surveillance with the chief counselor, chief elder, being able to just show up in your house and give you commands and watch you. Just like in our world, we have NSA spying on us through our various household appliances or phones, whatever it might be. The Giver begins much like our lives, with rules, customs, and beliefs we are born into, often thinking there is nothing wrong because that is how we have been raised. As in the movie, we are taught one version of history, broken up into class structure. We have our morals laid out for us through media programming and religions. Even political correctness or precision of language, so we know what's right and wrong. As in our world, the thank you for your childhood, or as we say, thank you for your service, is a joke to the oligarchy, because the true meaning translates to thank you for your slavery. To the masters of finance, institutions, nations, life and death in general, because the elites more or less view themselves as gods. As we find out, there are taboo topics that are not to be discussed by the community, such as what happened to the past receiver of memory. Just as in our world, most prefer not to talk about or pretend it isn't happening, such as human trafficking, child labor, or all the things that governments are really doing behind our backs. And it takes brave whistleblowers to make known confidential secrets that those at the top of the pyramid use to maintain their power over the system. A good analogy would be like a pool of water or truth, and most people might just, stick their foot in and be like, did you hear about what that corporation is getting away with, how they're damaging the population? Or can you believe that politician really did those hideous things, and yet people still go vote for them, people still look up to them, people want to hear them talking on the news? But what a conspiracy theorist, or what someone who's awake does daily, is dive into this pool headlong, so they can receive that shock, that mental and body shock of, wow, this is the world we live in. We have to tell people, we have to take action, and that is exactly what the main character does towards the end of the movie. So this aristocracy that has been around in some form since the earliest of civilizations, in essence has the capability to become the giver and assist mankind in everything from spirituality to technology. But they prefer us to be ignorant of true education so as to be easier to rule, such as the characters in the movie thinking that hippos are very fast because of an extra limb, when in reality the extra appendage is a trunk and is not used for running, and the creature is actually called an elephant. This simple and obvious fact correlates to those who are enlightened, the controllers of society who see life in its full spectrum of color, whereas the peasant masses constantly live in black and white, in a black and white world of good and evil, Republicans versus Democrats, rules and restrictions. You see, we must, quote, be curious, unquote, and experience the full range of life, and quote, don't accept what is the truth just because it is coming from someone you respect, unquote. Now, I won't go into the injection scenes because that is what got this video removed the first time. So if you want to know more about the injections, specific agenda, my books are full of details. Argos. Argos. Okay. When our memories, the real story of humanity, is erased, then generations gradually, over time, accept whatever is taught, including sending innocent people to elsewhere, death. Even if we think through science or law, we are helping others because we won't know any better how much harm we are actually causing. As truth seekers, we must become trendsetters of the mind and cause a revolution of the public consciousness. Otherwise, not only will we allow others to unnecessarily suffer because the elites enable it, but inevitably we hurt ourselves by doing nothing. A scene that stood out to me in particular was when the main character was on the bike and was trying to escape, and there was that little fight. The friend says, quote, "If it's the right thing to do, how can it be against the rules?" Unquote. This speaks to how deeply all of us have been conditioned. For example, if there was some mob boss, the mafia, who were to come to your city, or more specifically, come to your house, your business, your restaurant, whatever, and say, it'd be a real shame if this place were to go up in smoke because of a fire, an accidental fire, or if they were to take one of your family members hostage and say, it'd be too bad if this person were to have to endure some kind of pain. I think most people would agree that that would be a protection racket because you don't really have any choice, you're just threatened. So too, are we raised to not be tax cheats and to be good citizens when in reality the IRS, FBI, CIA, those are really in place to fine us, to beat us, to even shoot us if we resist, and say, no, we don't want to give away our wages. We don't have a choice. If we want to live here, we have to do it. The mafia and government, they're both gangs. We've just been raised to think of them differently. And the really sad part is all this money that we're giving away isn't even going to the things we're told it's going to. And in my books, I go into a lot of detail about what the banks, how they operate and all of that, but I don't want to get off topic. So as I've gone over before, who do rules and laws benefit, and why do you think they are really there? We have been domesticated to such levels that few dare to do the right thing, which is to fight against control, no matter what form it takes, no matter what kind of trickery has been used. So now I would encourage you to go to part 2 to go into Wonder Woman 1984 and finish this video series.